Welcome on in to another episode of Nate at the Foul Pole. I'm here as always with my co-host Matthew Pine, and today we have Elizabeth DeVita joining the show.
Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So if you want to give, our listeners a little bit of a background, who you are and how it relates to the Orioles as well.
Sure. So I'm Liz DeVita. I am Evan Phillips' fiance. Evan is a relief pitcher for the Orioles. I have a background in athletic communications, social media. I've worked in baseball. I worked for the Arena Football League, and so a little bit about me.
So maybe you could, give our listeners, a background. What got you first interested? I know you majored in journalism in college.
Mm-hmm, right. So when I was at Auburn, I had actually transferred from the University of Delaware, and so journalism was the major within the communications realm that most closely aligned with what I had been studying there. So that's sort of how that fell together. And then obviously the SEC, big sports school, a lot of the opportunity that you get in the classes are directly with sports. So whether it's football, basketball, my personal interest was baseball. I have an older brother, and he and my dad and I my mom as well. But when we were growing up, ironically, I grew up in Philadelphia, but used to go to Orioles games way more frequently than Phillies games. My dad's a very big Orioles fan. So
good to know.
Nice.
So the baseball background, I guess just the interest kind of came from growing up with the sport. Obviously not playing it, but everyone down there really wanted to work in football, and I love football. I think it's fun too, but my interest is really specifically in baseball. So my last semester, I was a semester behind most of my friends. So when I was there, I sort of made the most of what I could do in baseball. And that was with the Auburn baseball team, but also the Southern League felt very close to me for some reason. I thought Chattanooga, 7-hour drive, no problem. But really the Montgomery Biscuits, the Birmingham Barons, those minor league teams were kind of, I guess, my kickstart into it. And so I would, write game recaps, do photography, some multimedia things, really whatever I could do. And then immediately after I graduated, I went on to intern with the Houston Astros in media relations. Yeah, so it was a little bit of a different realm. You're working for the team, you're not a journalist, but obviously you need an understanding of what goes into everything to be able to do that. So I helped with game notes there with some of the game day publications, and really kind of in the nitty gritty of working with the players and understanding all that goes into it, really. And Evan is completely unrelated to that. He played for the Braves when we met, and that was just through mutual friends, since I was, obviously, I went to Auburn, and Atlanta's not that far. So nice. That's sort of that background.
So what was your experience like working for the Arena Football League specifically?
Interesting. There was a lot going on all the time, and we were a much smaller organization than the Houston Astros, for example. So for the Arena Football League, I was the director of communications, and that company filed for bankruptcy, I guess, the end of November, so November 2017. But when I was there, it really was, all encompassing. So I'm running social, handling creative content, as well as all of the PR, and overseeing the team's communications as well. Now, they each had a communications person, but we were trying to make it as cohesive as we could. And so whether that was, the branding, the messaging, it was a group effort, but I know people say you have to wear a lot of different hats all the time, but quite literally every day I didn't really know what hat I would be wearing. But, you kind of prepare for what you can, and you just do what you got to do. So.
Yeah, and you worked for the Astros in kind of the late part of their rebuild. They won the World Series the next year. What does that experience there kind of give you more confidence what the Orioles are building right now?
Yeah, I think a really good way to put it is every team, collegiate, professional, I think that teams go in cycles. Nothing can happen overnight, and I think one of the most important things, and I know it's frustrating as a fan, I understand that side of it, but when good things are happening, I think they're kind of happening in the background, so to say. So it might not seem it on the surface, but I think that they are preparing in ways that people can't fully understand in the moment, because if you're not seeing the wins rack up night after night, of course, as a fan, that's frustrating. So I really do have confidence, and I think there are a lot of intelligent people on the job, and I think that they know what they're doing.
So Mo Gaba, we did want to bring him up. I know you and Evan have been really big supporters of him. What do you think of that young man?
I think Mo is a ray of light. for every single person. And what's so unique and special is that he's a ray of light for people that he hasn't even met. So, I mean, you hear his story, you understand what this kid has gone through, but then you hear him and you see him, and he just emanates such joy. And I think especially right now, we could all use some joy. And that's something that really touches us, you know, whether it's during a pandemic or not. Seeing that someone can keep perspective and understand, you know, what really is important in life, that's something that we think Mo does incredibly well. And I wish we could all embody his spirit, because he really does radiate just joy.
Yeah, well put. And, you know, besides Mo, how else do you look to get involved in the Baltimore community?
Yeah, Evan and I talk about this a lot. I know this year is a little bit of a different situation, but Evan specifically talks a lot about wanting to get involved in after school programs and understanding, okay, a lot of these kids, you know, they're at school, but if their parents are working late at night, then what? Where did they go? And,
Right.
you know, who is encouraging them? And it's not that their parents aren't, but who's kind of filling in that gap when parents are at work and these younger kids maybe, you know, need someone to turn to. That's a bigger thing, and that's not something that one person can tackle. But I think that, you know, the youth in Baltimore they're so special and they're wonderful, and we want to be able to send that message to them as much as we can, because kids need to be nurtured and loved. And I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm saying there's definitely an opportunity, you know, for them to have mentors. And that's another thing. These guys are young men on the Orioles, and I think that, you know, if you're working with younger guys as well, to have a role model like that, I think that's important. So that's something that we're really interested in. We had done some things last year with some of the men's homeless shelters that are there. We had done some food donations, some clothing donations, and we were hoping to be more involved with them this year. We still can be, but a little bit more indirectly, just because of what's allowed or not allowed. But
Sure.
We love the city of Baltimore, and we think there are a lot of ways to give back positively there.
Yeah, and on the Orioles side, obviously Evan pitches for him every few nights. But what's your favorite part about watching the Orioles and Evan specifically?
When I watch Evan pitch, I have this like holy heck moment every single time, where it's almost like time freezes, but it also goes so fast. I'm like, wait, he's done already? But there's something just surreal. And I mean, it's the stadium that I grew up watching baseball in, and it's the stadium that my dad loves with his whole heart. And when I see Evan out there, and I also know that that's the same as his story. He and his dad grew up loving the Orioles, and the irony of that, and then all of it coming together and seeing him on the mound, I don't know. And I hope I never lose that joy, because it's so special. But every single time I'm like, is this real? Like actually real? But it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think I can predict it, but what was your first reaction when Evan was traded to Baltimore?
Oh my gosh. It's funny. I was looking back way old text messages to find that day just a few days ago, but he literally texted me and he's like, I think I'm in a trade. And I was like, you're what? And of course I go to Twitter, refresh it, and it was right at the top. And I think it was just all happening so fast that it was hard to process, like, oh, this is the Orioles. Evan is going to be playing for them. He had just made his debut on July 3rd with the Braves. So we were still very new to all of this. And then all of a sudden, like, your favorite team in the world. And I mean, there was just so many moving parts that it was almost like, and then when he made his Orioles debut, it was in Dallas. I don't remember if there was weather or what, but I will just say Evan and I both had incredibly challenging times getting there, but I wasn't going to miss it. He didn't have a choice. He had to change airlines, whatever he did. We got there on approximately no sleep, and it was just the best thing in the world. So we were overjoyed. I mean, we loved the Braves as well. They were a great organization, but I don't know. There's something different.
Yeah,
for sure. And there's so much opportunity in Baltimore with this rebuild going on. What role do you kind of see Evan sinking into as time progresses?
Yeah, I think that it's really unique, the Orioles situation. There's so many guys who have this opportunity to prove themselves. And of course, there's some veteran leadership, and that's always helpful. But I think what's really, really unique and really important for these guys is you are going to be able to have that chance day after day to prove yourself. Easier said than done. Like, hey, just go out there and do really well. Okay, but, I think Evan especially, he just loves the game of baseball so much. I mean, the joy of the game and then having that chance to go out there and prove yourself and be part of a team is so important to him. And he will literally never lose sight of how much he loves baseball. So I think he has a unique motivation in that sense. Obviously, all these guys love the sport. I know that. But having the chance to be able to prove himself, in a team that is rebuilding, like you said, and there are more younger guys who do have this opportunity. So, hopefully he's able to continue his job as a relief pitcher and, hold his own and do what he has to do to help the team.
Yeah, and Liz, just as a bit of a wrap up, I did want to give you a plug. I saw Evan tweeted a couple days back that you had made approximately 800 masks for people in need, which is amazing. Is there a place that people can, if they're in need, can go find those, or are you over capacity? Or
Yeah, so I do have an Etsy shop where people can buy them, and for every mask that's purchased, we're donating. And if people have a direct need or know somebody who could use one and can't necessarily buy one, or knows of an organization that needs them, they are absolutely more than welcome to get in touch with me, and we will make it happen. But yeah, so that's
perfect. We can tweet that link out for you then as well.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Liz. We really appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you. Guys.
Enjoyed it.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. So that was our interview with Liz DeVita. Wonderful woman. She's obviously, connection with the Orioles, but she's just a really good person overall, and brings a lot of positivity, which we so sorely need in this year 2020.
Yeah, definitely great interview. Lots of energy there, and it was great to interview her for sure. Now we do want to get into a few other topics that kind of revolve around the Orioles season. Obviously, next Friday is opening day for the Orioles, and first I wanted to lead off this podcast by talking about Ryan Mountcastle. So, Matt, why don't you kind of explain the situation here?
Yeah, I think they have to wait 6 days before his service clock can kind of roll over, that they gain an extra year before he hits free agency. I think we both kind of agree that he's very much deserving playing on the major league roster this season, in whatever capacity that is, if it's a DH, if it's a left fielder, whatever that may be. I want him to get at bats. I know you probably have some more things to say about him, but just overall, I think he's well deserving of playing for the Orioles in 2020.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I'm all for getting that extra year of service time. And I think the service time and arbitration argument is one for another day. But Ryan Mountcastle is so affected by this right now that the Orioles have to wait those 6 days to bring him up. And I just don't like the way that we've handled him up to this point. I think, we're doing what's best in the long run for the organization. But I think that Ryan Mountcastle has done everything he needs to do to be in the majors. I think he's already a better bat than probably most of the guys who are on the Orioles team right now. I think that his defense has come a long way. And if you look at him in left field, he's really not too bad out there. Spring training made a couple nice catches. He's not great yet, but the development's definitely working there. He can play a little first base if he needs to, DH if he needs to. This is a guy who, in my mind, we need to have in the majors. I think if you have someone in the minors that can help your team as much as someone like Ryan Mountcastle can, you have to bring him up. Yeah,
and I don't even necessarily see anybody blocking him right now. There's no reason that he shouldn't be playing, getting his reps. He might struggle out of the gate. He strikes out a lot, which is fine. I remember when Nick Markakis first came up, he struggled mightily. And
Mike Trout as well.
Mike Trout as well. Nick Markakis has a shot to make the Hall of Fame if he can get to 3,000 hits. So I think it's beneficial for him, especially with there's no minor league season. I think it's very behooving of him to have all those reps, and I'm rooting for him this season. He's definitely one of the guys that I'm most looking forward to watch.
Me too. And Matt Kremnitzer put it in a really good way. He said that what would be better, having Ryan Mountcastle take at-bats at Bowie, play him in left field in Bowie, and have the minor league coaches, kind of further his development, or have him in the majors where, he's going to get playing time, have at-bats. He can work with Don Long and all the other hitting coaches we have, and Brendan Hyde, of course. I just think you see so much more development potential in the majors than sending him back to Bowie, where he's been in our organization for 5 years now. I just don't really see where he hasn't earned a spot. I know it's all because of service time and arbitration. I know it's what the Orioles are doing is in the the best case scenario for this team in the long run. But
Mhm.
I don't know if you can keep a guy down like this anymore. And it's just kind of upsetting to a lot of fans, I think, to see him still in the minors. And I know Ryan said he was even upset about not being on that initial 60-man pool.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Kevin Gausman situation where they kind of like,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term, like jerked him around back and forth, like to the minor leagues, major leagues. I hope that's not the same situation. I don't think it will be. Obviously, minor leagues is going to resume next season, but yeah, like you said, it's a tightrope to walk, and you got to hope. And obviously, I don't want this to happen, but you got to hope that Mountcastle doesn't hold it against them. 6 years down the line when he hits free agency and says, "Well, they didn't promote me when I was ready, so I'm just going to sign elsewhere." I don't think that would happen. I think they just make sound business decisions, but you never know.
I think that's a great point. And that's one of the things I actually mentioned too in our Orioles group chat, that I just think it brings down morale, it brings down team morale when there's just guys that, can help you when they're not being able to help you. I think it brings down Ryan Mountcastle's morale. He might look at us and say, "Man, I've been doing everything they've asked me to for 5 years, going on 6 now, and I'm still not in the majors." You look at Austin Hayes, he was up in 2017, 1 year after he was drafted. So, Ryan, obviously a college guy versus a high school guy, but Ryan Mountcastle, I just think, has done everything and more he needs to do, and I hope to see him soon. I mean, I really hope they bring him up this season and don't wait till next year.
So I did want to move on to what is going to be my favorite segment of this podcast, talking about MASN and their decision to initially not show games. The Orioles haven't shown any inter-squad matchups thus far. But it was announced, Zach, I know before you go off on your tangent, it was announced before our podcast started that they will show the games against the Nationals on Monday and on Tuesday. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, this is kind of a problem. I think right now, obviously Orioles fans in the first place aren't that engaged with the Orioles. Right now you look at 2014 when they could pack a stadium almost every night, and now it's 18,000 at the max some nights.
At the max, yeah.
The attendance, at the max, and the attendance has just dropped. I think we were in like 27th or 28th last year in attendance numbers. So clearly, this team needs to help get their fans engaged more. And by not showing intra-squad games or initially the exhibition games, they aren't doing that. They're not keeping their fans engaged. You went through Twitter. My entire timeline is basically filled every day with people tweeting the Orioles and asking them to show the intra-squad games. Countless Orioles fans, because that's what people like to see. And almost every team, I probably saw at least 25 of the other teams do intra-squad games for free on YouTube, not through their TV service, but just streaming them live on YouTube. I don't think it's very difficult to put a camera out in center field and play the games. I just don't really see how that's too difficult. Obviously we're all Orioles fans. We really want to see them do as much as possible to keep us engaged. I know that most of us and probably everyone who's listening to this podcast watch every single minute of it. It's great content to put out. So, I just think this is a real miss by the Orioles in not doing this.
Yeah, I am encouraged that, they listened to their fans and said, okay, we're going to televise 2 games.
Definitely. Have to give them credit there.
Yep, and the season is a week away. So, once we reach the 24th and at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, it's going to be forgotten for the moment. But yeah, I think that the point still stands. You got to engage your fans. And, they've been making baby steps, but I think it's really time to put the pedal to the metal with that.
Yeah, I really like the work that Paul Mancano and the rest of his MASN team has done on social media. I mean, they've done a lot of great clips, and even the Orioles videographers and photographers have done great work in putting out clips.
Paul made a really good point on the our podcast last week where they hired all these videographers, and these are really high quality videos that they're putting out. And I mean, it was time for that to happen. But I mean, they're doing like the Wallpaper Wednesday. They're doing these videos, these hype videos. So I think, you're starting to see the beginnings of it. It's not really what it fully should be, at this point, but something.
Yeah, I think it all goes back to modernization. I just think that's something, as an organization, the Orioles might need to work on a little bit. Obviously, we're modernizing our baseball operations with analytics and sabermetrics and TrackMan and all the different things we're doing now to bring us up to speed with the rest of the league, but we're still not up to speed, social media wise and content wise. And, it just, I think it hurts us all as Orioles fans not to be able to watch our O's when I can turn on the TV and see the Seattle Mariners anytime I want. So I just think that's kind of the issue here. Even the Nationals, our rival right down the road, who also has Masson, they were live streaming their games on YouTube as well. So I just think that, every Orioles fan would really appreciate this. I wish they did it, but I am glad, and I'm really excited to see the exhibition games on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Did want to move on to the next topic. We are going to give our lineup projections for the opening day roster. Zach, who do you have 1 through 9?
Yeah, so it's already been announced that John Means is the starting pitcher, so not too much confusion there. But I do think that we'll see Alberto in the leadoff spot. I just think that, based on his ability to just get on base last year, he'll fit right perfectly in there. In the 2-hole, I see Austin Hayes, based on the fact that I think you put your best hitter there. Without Trey Mancini, Austin Hayes is our best hitter. So put him in the 2-hole, let him get on base for Santander, who I'm putting in the 3-hole. You look at him as a switch hitter. He's so versatile. If he's ready for opening day, hopefully he will be. Obviously recovering from COVID still, and he's getting his at-bats now, but I think he'll be ready for the 3-hole. And then in the 4-hole, I'm putting Renato Nunez. Hit 31 home runs last year. He drives in a lot of runs. I think that Alberto, Hayes, and Santander are a really good 3 to get on base for Nunez. I think the top of the order, this top 4, is really solid. And in the number 5 spot, I'm putting Rio Ruiz. Just based on the fact that he played there a lot last year, and his bats come along a little bit toward the end of last year. In the 6th spot, I'm unfortunately putting Chris Davis, but I'm not even going to comment there. And the 7th spot, I'm going to put in Jose Iglesias. Again, just based on the fact that he's a little bit of speed and can set the table for maybe the guys at the top of the order or even at the bottom of the order, where I have Pedro Severino and DJ Stewart rounding out my 8 and 9 holes.
DJ, okay, interesting. My 1 through 9, I know Brandon Hyde said, I think it was yesterday that, maybe it was today actually, he said Austin Hayes is going to hit high up in our lineup. So I'm putting him all the way at number 1 in the leadoff spot.
Can't argue that.
Best hitter on the team bats first, right? That's how it goes. Pretty sure.
I mean, maybe.
And then number 2, I got Jose Iglesias. 3, Santander. Number 4, Renato Nunez, just like you. I have Chris Davis in the 5-hole. I think, maybe a spark, maybe a renewed season could help him out a little bit. We'll see. Hanser Alberto in the 6-hole. Rio Ruiz, number 7. Pedro Severino. And then to round out the lineup, Mason Williams. Mason Williams starting in right field.
Yeah, we had this discussion a little bit before the podcast started, but Mason Williams versus DJ Stewart. I'm personally more of a Mason Williams fan. I like his speed. I like his ability to cover a lot of ground in the outfield. I think that if you stick Austin Hayes in the outfield with DJ Stewart and Anthony Santander, Hayes is going to be asked to cover a lot of ground out there. So, having another athletic outfielder in left or right with Mason Williams, I think is a really big plus.
Yeah, and then finally we wanted to talk about the standouts that we've seen from summer camp. I've got a list of a couple, but I'm curious to hear who you have on your list, Zach.
Can we avoid Chris Davis? I mean, he's been hitting the ball.
He
really
was my
well.
first pick, so I don't know.
I have to mention him. He's been hitting the ball really well. He had a great spring training. I don't know if you guys remember, but he had just an incredible year where he he had a ton of home runs, and he was flying around the bases every time you looked. So Davis, he might be on the comeback train. We won't know until a couple weeks from now, obviously. But maybe if he's on his way back, then we'll know in the first game if he strikes out 4 times. But he's hit a lot of balls off the wall. He's hit a lot of balls over the fence. He had a lefty home run yesterday off Wade LeBlanc. So maybe we're seeing some improvement there. He's huge now. He's bulked up. I think that's probably why that he's on the comeback trail a little bit. And I think you might see a surprisingly decent season from him, but he's definitely one of the best camp standouts for me.
Yeah, I look at a couple of pitchers in Tommy Malone and Wade LeBlanc. Obviously, you just mentioned he got a home run hit off of him in LeBlanc, but it's going against the greatest power hitter that ever was in Chris Davis, so it's not a big deal. I think Doug Brocail is going to really lean on his veterans this year. In Alex Cobb, LeBlanc, and Malone, I think they need to really eat up some innings. Even with the expanded roster, you don't want to have your bullpen coming into the 4th, 5th inning of every game. So I think having those inning eaters and maybe even quality starts. There's an article by Ben Palmer in the pitcher list about Tommy Malone saying that he could have a breakout year. I think it's certainly possible. I would say those two guys. And if you have 3 out of your 5, really even include Asher Wojciechowski, but 3 out of the 5 starters in your rotation as veterans, I think that's a good anchor to have at least.
Yeah, before we continue with that, what do you think about the starting rotation? Do you look at it as better than last year? I mean, obviously we lost Dylan Bundy, we lost Pashner, so 2 decent pieces there. Do you look at it as better or worse?
I do. I think it's better. I think a lot of people are expecting John Means to regress, which I could see that. I know Brooke Hale's talked a lot about his improved curveball. So if you mix up that changeup with the curveball and a fastball that's, tops out mid-90s maybe, maybe around 94, that's a decent – I mean, they're not going to be good. They're not going to be like top 15 starting rotation, but they might not stink like we're used to seeing. So I think they you know what, my hot take would be that they're going to have a better starting rotation than they do a lineup. That would be my biggest.
That is a hot take.
Yeah.
I do think this lineup is actually pretty decent. I see a lot of power in this lineup. I think it's going to be pretty solid. But if we look at the starting rotation, I actually think it's not that bad. Like I really don't look at it and think like I did last year. Wow, we have nothing. I mean, I think John Means will still put up some quality starts, and I really like Wade LeBlanc. I really like Tommy Malone. That's a solid 3 there. And then obviously Alex Cobb really could go either way. I think there's a possibility for a huge season for him. And it's possible. He's such on a big contract, so I would love to see it. And then Wojo, I'm a little mixed on. Not sure where he stands yet.
He's just average, which is fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah, but Bundy, I think you think of him as kind of an average pitcher. Most fans would probably put him there, but I don't know if he's that much better than Malone or LeBlanc, who are the 2 new additions. So I'm not sure there's. Yeah, it's not too big of a difference if there is one.
Dylan Bundy had like a semi-decent WAR in terms of Orioles starting pitchers. Gives up a lot of home runs. I think the potential was always there. He could string together 3 amazing innings and then give up, a handful of home runs and, give up 6 earned in 5 innings. But, I think it remains to be seen. But I do like the shortened format of 60 games. I think that definitely helps out the veteran pitchers who might be a little bit worn down than the younger pitchers. So that might be something to look forward to.
Totally. And going on Wade LeBlanc, he's actually had some really solid seasons if you look through his career. I mean, he's not a bad pitcher at all. This was a nice minor league signing. I really like that one. You can even see Cole Stewart get some starts, and he's a guy that I think you look at with a little bit of projectability. Possibly could become a bit better. A 4th overall pick a few years ago. So Stewart maybe has a little bit of potential, and we'll see that maybe break out a little bit. He hasn't pitched really too much in the majors. That was why I was so confused when they signed him to a major league deal. But we'll see if that works out.
I think another piece that we may be overlooking is that Chris Holt will probably be with the Orioles a good amount of his time. Obviously he's going to split it between Bowie and the major leagues, but he was pretty integral in helping out like guys like Cody Sedlock, improving Grayson Rodriguez. He basically taught the grip of John Means changeup to him, how to throw it properly. So I think if he's with them for all 60 games, I think you can see an improvement from a lot of different guys.
He's been an awesome hire. That's a good point. He's helped out so many guys, and I really think Alex Cobb could be a big benefactor from him this year. Cobb looking to regain that really nice splitter, and I saw him strike out Ryan Mountcastle with that splitter a few days ago. So I'm excited to see what Cobb does. I think he's probably the most interesting pitcher to watch this year, starting pitcher wise. So we'll just have to see how he rebounds. But coming back from so many injuries, I really do feel like this is the first time that Cobb is fully healthy, that he's been pitching for the Orioles. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
So, folks, we are 1 week away from actual, real, live, regular season baseball with the Orioles start off in Fenway next Friday at 7:30. Zach, do you want to tell our audience our game plans for every podcast upcoming in season, and then maybe even live streaming some games?
Yeah, so we will be staying on our regular schedule, 5:30 every Friday. That will stay as the season progresses. Next week, we'll start our first in-season episode. This is our final off-season episode. Next week, we will be doing an opening day pregame show. So we will be breaking down the lineup, breaking down the starting pitching matchup. We will be breaking down pretty much everything there is with opening day. That will be at 5:30. And then obviously the game starts 2 hours later at 7:30. So we want to give you a little bit of time in between there for sure.
Get settled. Take your shoes
and
off.
Jordan, there you go. And then Jordan Katz asked us if we were doing any live stream games, and we did have that planned. We were going to do a few games here soon, probably the third game of the season, which is on Sunday, the 26th. Is our plan right now, but we were going to do at least probably 3 or 4, depending on how it goes, and those should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, looking forward to it. As always, subscribe on YouTube, listen to us on our audio channels, Spotify and iTunes and SoundCloud, Google Podcasts as well. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.